Lincoln killed the engine, the sudden silence amplifying the storm's roar until it drowned out the frantic thud of his pulse. He sat there for a long beat, fingers white-knuckled on the wheel, staring at the silhouette that had haunted his dreams from New York high-rises to late-night depositions. Riley Whitaker, tall, still built like he could toss hay bales one-handed, his flannel shirt clinging wetly to his chest, leaned against the porch rail, a cigarette glowing like a defiant ember in the dark. Lincoln's mind flashed to that summer night in '09. Stolen kisses under a harvest moon, Riley's calloused hands mapping Lincoln's skin like it was holy ground, promises murmured against collarbones that shattered come morning when Riley's daddy found out and dragged him away, leaving Lincoln to face the fallout alone. "You gonna sit there all night, Link?" Riley's voice cut through the rain, low and rough, laced with that Elmwood drawl that used to make Lincoln's knees weak. It still did. Damn it, traitor body. Lincoln shoved open the door, stepping into the deluge without an umbrella, his wool coat soaking through in seconds. Water streamed down his face. Mixing with the sting in his eyes, he refused to acknowledge his tears. He climbed the steps, stopping 2 feet from Riley, close enough to smell the tobacco and earth on him, close enough to see the faint scar above his left eyebrow from that fight with Tommy Hargrove, the ringleader who'd shoved Lincoln's face into the locker room sink and jeered, "Fags like you don't belong here." "What the hell are you doing here?" Lincoln demanded, his East Coast polish cracking just enough to let the raw hurt bleed through. He wanted to punch him, kiss him, scream every unanswered letter he'd burned in his Columbia dorm room. Riley flicked his cigarette into a puddle where it hissed out like a dying confession. "Heard you were back. Figured you'd need something. Coffee, whiskey, a place to unload." Riley's blue eyes, stormy as the sky, searched Lincoln's face, lingering on the sharp lines age and ambition had etched there. Lincoln laughed, a bitter bark that echoed off the wet boards. "Unload? Like you did when you ghosted me? When you let them call me every name in the book while you slunk off to community college and forgot my name?" The words hung heavy, venomous, but Riley didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped closer, invading Lincoln's space, the heat of him cutting through the chill like a brand. "I never forgot, Link. Not for a goddamn second. But you? You lit out of here like a rocket, made it big in the city. Prosecutor now, huh? Sticking it to the man." There was pride in his tone, grudging and warm, but Lincoln recoiled, the proximity too much, too soon. "Don't. Just don't." He brushed past, shoulder clipping Riley's, and fumbled with the key in the lock. The door swung open to a dim foyer smelling of lemon polish and neglect, the kind of rental that screamed temporary in a town built on forever. Lincoln stripped off his coat, hanging it on a hook that sagged under invisible weight, and turned to find Riley filling the doorway, uninvited but immovable. "You can't just show up, Riley. Not after everything." Lincoln's voice softened, traitorous, as he leaned against the wall, arms crossed like armor. The living room beyond was sparse, a sagging couch, a coffee table scarred with ghosts of previous tenants, boxes of case files stacked like barricades. Rain pattered against the windows, a relentless underscore to the tension coiling between them. Riley closed the door softly, the click loud in the quiet. "I know. God, I know. But Elmwood. It chews people up, Link. My dad. He beat the sin out of me with his belt, said I'd burn if I didn't straighten up. Yours did the same, just with words and that church crowd. I was a kid, scared shitless. But you fought back. Came out to the whole damn assembly, head high, even when they threw eggs at your truck." His voice cracked on the last word, and he ran a hand through rain-damp hair, leaving it spiked and wild. Lincoln's chest tightened, memories flooding back. The assembly hall reeking of sweat and fear, Principal Hargrove, Tommy's uncle, droning about traditional values, and Lincoln standing up, microphone in trembling hand, declaring, "I'm gay, and I'm not ashamed." The applause had been thunderous, from the wrong side. "You could have stood with me," Lincoln whispered, the accusation hanging like smoke. Riley crossed the room in 2 strides, stopping inches away, his breath warm on Lincoln's cheek. "I wanted to. Every day since." And then, without warning, Riley's hand cupped Lincoln's jaw, thumb tracing the line of his stubble, and Lincoln, God help him, leaned into it, eyes fluttering shut against the war inside him. Their lips met in a crash of desperation, tasting of rain and regret, Riley's body pressing Lincoln back against the wall with a growl that vibrated through them both. It was messy, urgent, teeth clashing, hands fisting in shirts, years of what-ifs igniting like dry tinder. Lincoln's fingers tangled in Riley's hair, pulling him closer, deeper, as if he could devour the pain and spit out forgiveness. But then the shrill ring of Lincoln's phone shattered it. His assistant, Claire, with updates on the case files. Lincoln broke away, chest heaving, glaring at the device like it was the devil itself. "I have to. Work?" he panted, straightening his tie with shaking hands. Riley nodded, stepping back, his lips swollen and eyes dark with unspoken pleas. "Yeah, duty calls. But Link, this ain't over. Not by a long shot." He slipped out into the storm, leaving Lincoln alone with the echo of his heartbeat and the ghost of a kiss that promised more heartbreak than healing. The next morning dawned gray and grudging, the kind of Midwest slog that made Lincoln miss the relentless hustle of Manhattan subways. He dressed in his armor, a crisp white shirt, slim-fit slacks, the navy suit jacket slung over his arm, and headed to the courthouse, case files tucked under one elbow like a shield. The Hargrove versus Elmwood School Board suit wasn't just any pro bono gig. It was personal. Tommy Hargrove, now a puffed-up gym teacher with a beer gut and a badge of small-town authority, had been caught on video harassing a queer kid in the locker room, echoes of Lincoln's own hell. The board wanted to sweep it under the rug, citing religious freedoms, but Lincoln was here to drag it into the light, to make them choke on their hypocrisy. Elmwood hadn't changed. The same cracked sidewalks lined with mom-and-pop shops hawking faded American flags, the diner where locals still whispered about that Hayes boy over black coffee and pie. Heads turned as Lincoln pushed through the courthouse doors, murmurs rippling like wind through cornstalks. "That's him," someone hissed. "The one who shamed his family." His mother, Evelyn, worked the front desk here now, her once vibrant red hair dulled to ash, eyes downcast as she stamped papers. She didn't look up when he passed, but her hand trembled on the ink pad. A silent apology, or just arthritis? In the prosecutor's bullpen, Claire, a sharp-eyed paralegal with a pixie cut and a rainbow pin on her lapel, handed him a steaming mug. "Fuel for the fire, boss. Depositions start at 10. And heads up, Hargrove's lawyered up with that sleaze from Des Moines, Harlan Crow. Thinks he can bully us into settling." Lincoln sipped the bitter brew, nodding. "Let him try. We're not settling for anything less than their resignation." But as he reviewed the transcripts, his mind wandered to Riley, to the heat of that kiss, the way Riley's fingers had dug into his hips like he was anchoring himself to a life raft. Stupid, Lincoln chided himself. Riley was the past, a beautiful mistake wrapped in flannel and regret. Focus on the case. On justice. The deposition room was a windowless box, fluorescent buzz overhead casting everyone in sickly pallor. Tommy Hargrove slouched in the witness chair, his face a map of faded acne scars and perpetual scowl, flanked by Crow, a slick weasel in a polyester suit, gold cufflinks glinting like fangs. "Mr. Hayes," Crow drawled, "you seem awfully invested in this little drama. Personal grudge, perhaps? Word around town is you got run out for. Unnatural tendencies." Lincoln's jaw clenched, but he leaned forward, voice ice calm. "This isn't about me, Mr. Crow. It's about a minor being terrorized under your client's watch. Shall we play the tape?" The video flickered to life on the screen. Tommy's voice, slurred and venomous. "You think you can prance around here like one of them city queers? I'll beat the rainbow right out of you." The room went still, Tommy's face draining of color. It was a joke," he stammered, sweat beading on his brow. Crow objected furiously, but Lincoln pressed on, dismantling alibis with surgical precision, each question a scalpel carving open old wounds. By the end, Tommy was a wreck, signing affidavits with a hand that shook like his father's had when he disowned Lincoln. Outside, in the hallway, Lincoln exhaled, leaning against cool marble. Victory tasted sharp, but hollow, until Riley appeared at the end of the corridor, toolbox in hand, grease smudged on his cheek. "Heard you eviscerated the bastard. Coffee after? My treat." Lincoln hesitated, the pull magnetic. "One coffee. That's it." But as they walked out into the crisp air, Riley's shoulder brushing his, Lincoln knew it was a lie. One coffee would never be enough. Their spot was the old mill bridge, where the river churned lazy under rusted girders, a half-forgotten relic of Elmwood's industrial ghost. Riley poured from a thermos, the steam curling like secrets between them. "You look good, Link. Tired, but good. City's treating you right. It's home now. Fast, anonymous. No one gives a damn who you love." Lincoln accepted the cup, their fingers brushing, electric, deliberate. They talk then, halting at first. Riley's life as a mechanic, fixing trucks for farmers who eyed him sideways. Lincoln's ascent from public defender to civil rights firebrand, cases that chipped away at the world's injustices but never quite mended his own. Laughter crept in, tentative, remembering stolen swims in the creek, Riley's terrible rendition of Springsteen under porch lights. But shadows lingered. "Why'd you come back, really?" Riley asked, voice soft as dusk falling. Lincoln stared at the water, ripples catching the last light. "To finish what they started. To make them see me, not the scared kid, but the man who survived them." He turned, meeting Riley's gaze. "And you? Why show up now?" Riley set his cup down, closing the gap. "Because I never stopped loving you, Link. I ran then. I won't now." Their kiss this time was slower, deeper, a reclamation. Hands explored with reverence, tracing scars both seen and unseen, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. Under the bridge's shadow, they made love with the river's murmur as witness, fierce, tender, a balm on battered souls. Afterward, tangled in blankets from Riley's truck, Lincoln whispered fears into the night. The trial looming, his father's testimony on the horizon, the terror of hoping again. As stars pricked the sky, Riley held him close. "We'll face it together. Promise." But promises in Elmwood had always been fragile as frost. Weeks blurred into a frenzy of motions and mock trials. Lincoln's rented Victorian becoming a war room of legal pads and takeout containers. Claire became his unlikely confidant, her dry wit a counterpoint to Elmwood's oppressive piety. Late nights dissecting precedents over cheap Merlot, her stories of queer bars in Chicago a lifeline to the world beyond cornfields. "You're doing this for that kid in the video, right?" she'd say, eyes sharp. "Or for the one you used to be?" Lincoln would deflect with a smirk, but the truth gnawed. Both, always both. Riley wove into the chaos seamlessly, showing up with greasy bags from the diner, burgers piled high with fries, extra pickles the way Lincoln liked, or tools to fix the creaky porch swing, his presence a steady hum against the storm. Their nights were stolen symphonies, bodies entwined on threadbare sheets, Riley's whispers tracing Lincoln's spine like scripture. "You're mine, Link." Always were. Mornings brought coffee in bed, lazy talks of futures that felt dangerously possible. Riley dreaming of a garage in the city, Lincoln half joking about dragging him to pride parades, rainbow flags snapping in the wind. But Elmwood whispered poison. At the grocery, Mrs. Hargrove, Tommy's pinched-faced mother, sidelined Lincoln in the produce aisle, her voice a hiss. "You think you're some hero? Coming back to ruin good Christian folk? My boy's got a family." Lincoln gripped the cart handle, knuckles whitening. "Your boy's actions ruined a kid's sense of safety. That's on him." She spat at his feet, the glob landing near his polished loafers, and stormed off, leaving stares like knives in his back. Worse were the letters. Anonymous, slipped under his door. Bible verses scorched at the edges, slurs scrawled in block letters. "Go back to your sodomite den." Riley found the first one, crumpling it with a curse. "This town's rotten, Link. You sure you want to stay?" But Lincoln burned them in the sink, flames dancing like defiance. "I'm not running. Not again." The real fracture came mid-October, leaves turning blood red under a harvest moon. Lincoln's father, Harlan Hayes Sr., a bear of a man whittled by years of farm work and fundamentalism, requested a private meeting. For old time's sake, the note read, delivered by Evelyn's trembling hand. Lincoln agreed, against every instinct, meeting him at the old homestead, sagging barn, fields fallow since the divorce that followed Lincoln's shame. Harlan waited on the porch, shotgun propped casual against the rail, not loaded, Lincoln hoped. His face a roadmap of regret and ruin, eyes the same hazel as his son's but dulled by whiskey and denial. "Boy," he rumbled, voice gravel, "you look like your ma." Strong chin. No hug, no handshake, just space between them, vast as the accusations unspoken. Lincoln stayed by the truck, arms crossed. "What do you want, Dad?" "Testimony. I'm calling you as a hostile witness next week." Harlan winced, lighting a pipe with hands that shook. The smoke curled acrid, boyhood memories twisting. Sunday suppers where Harlan quoted Leviticus like law, Evelyn's forced smiles hiding bruises on her face. "I want forgiveness, son, for what I did. Kicking you out that night. Rain pouring, you with nothing but a backpack. I was scared. Church said you'd drag us all to hell." His voice broke, a crack in the facade, and for a heartbeat, Lincoln saw the man beneath. Terrified father, clinging to dogma like driftwood. "You didn't just kick me out," Lincoln said, voice raw. "You erased me. Told the town I was dead to you. While I couch-surfed in Des Moines, dodging creeps for a meal, you preached at my funeral in your heart." Tears burned, hot and unwelcome. Harlan stepped forward, pipe forgotten, hand outstretched. "I was wrong. God, or whatever's up there, showed me. After your ma left, I sat with it. The emptiness." But Lincoln jerked back, the old wound suppurating. "Save the epiphany for the stand. You'll swear under oath how family values justified abandoning your gay son." He turned to leave, but Harlan's plea stopped him. "I love you, Lincoln. Still do." The words hung, a lifeline or a noose. Lincoln drove away, throat tight, Riley waiting at the Victorian with takeout and open arms. That night, they made love with an edge, desperate, clawing, as if to outrun the ghosts. Riley sensed the shift, holding Lincoln after, fingers combing sweat-damp hair. "Talk to me, darling." Lincoln spilled it all. The meeting, the almost forgiveness, the rage that tasted like bile. How do I judge him without becoming him? Hard-hearted. Riley kissed his temple, steady as oak. "You judge with mercy, Link. That's what makes you better." Sleep came fitful, dreams of gavels and rain mingling with Riley's warmth. The trial opened under a slate sky, the courthouse packed, farmers in Carhartts, church ladies clutching pearls, a smattering of activists bust from Iowa City, their signs, "Love wins," a splash of color against the drab. Judge Ellis, a silver-haired relic with a reputation for fairness, called order, gavel sharp. Lincoln rose, heart pounding like a war drum, facing the jury. 12 strangers, faces etched with small-town skepticism. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, voice resonant. "This isn't about politics or piety. It's about a boy, 15 years old, whose spirit was nearly crushed because adults in authority chose silence over safety." He painted the picture. The locker room terror, Tommy's sneer echoing Lincoln's own past, the board's emails dismissing complaints as overreactions. Gasps rippled as exhibits flashed, videos, logs, a photo of the victim, eyes hollow with hurt. Crow countered with bluster. A one-off incident, exaggerated by urban agitators. Elmwood protects its own. But Lincoln dismantled it, cross-examining Tommy with surgical calm. "You called him a fairy faggot, Mr. Hargrove. Was that protection?" Tommy squirmed, mumbling denials, the jury leaning forward, hooks set. Adjournment brought chaos, reporters swarming, a local news van idling outside. Riley met Lincoln in the alley, pulling him into a shadowed corner for a quick, fierce kiss. "You're a force, counselor." Proud as hell. But as they parted, a figure emerged from the gloom. Crow, smirking, phone in hand. "Touching. But leverage like that could hurt your case." The implied threat hung, oily, and Lincoln's blood ran cold. Had he been photographed? Blackmailed? Back home, paranoia festered. Lincoln paced, case files scattering like leaves. "If they out us, if they use Riley against me." Riley grabbed his shoulders, grounding. "Let him try. I'm not hiding anymore." They clung then, love making a defiant act, bodies slick with sweat and solidarity. But dawn brought a subpoena. Harlan Hayes Sr., compelled to testify on community standards. The second day escalated. Evelyn took the stand first, her voice quavering as Lincoln questioned her gently. Former school secretary, witness to complaints ignored. "I saw the notes, the pleas from parents. But the board, they said it was God's will." Tears tracked her cheeks, and Lincoln's resolve cracked. He wanted to hug her, this woman who'd stayed silent to survive. Then Harlan. He lumbered to the chair, eyes locking on Lincoln's, pleading, broken. Crow led. "Mr. Hayes, you've raised a fine Christian family. Views on alternative lifestyles." Harlan cleared his throat, glancing at his son. "I did. Raised him strict. But strict ain't always right." The room buzzed. Under Lincoln's cross, it poured out. The disownment, the regret, words tumbling like confession. "I failed him. Failed God, maybe. But that boy, my boy, he's stronger than I ever was." Crow objected furiously, irrelevant. But Judge Ellis allowed it. The testimony a gut punch to the defense. Jurors dabbed eyes. Even Tommy shifted uncomfortably. Lincoln sat, stunned, victory bittersweet. Harlan stepped down, pausing by the bar, murmuring, "Proud of you, son." No embrace, but the chasm narrowed, just a fraction. Outside, Riley waited, but his face was thunder. Got a call from the garage. Tommy's uncle, board chair, pulled my contract. Said I'd been compromised by consorting with the enemy. Betrayal stung fresh, Riley's hurt mirroring Lincoln's old wounds. This town, it takes everything. Lincoln pulled him close. Rain starting again, soft and cleansing. Then we take it back, together. But as they drove away, a tail light flickered in the rear view. Crow's PI? The noose tightened. November winds howled like banshees, stripping trees bare as the trial barreled toward climax. Lincoln's nights shortened, holed up with Claire, poring over closing arguments, her laptop glowing like a beacon in the Victorian's gloom. "You've got him on the ropes," she'd say, popping a gummy bear like victory pills. One more push. But Lincoln's focus splintered, Riley's job loss gnawed, a reminder that Elmwood devoured its own. He offered to cover bills, pro bono for you. But Riley bristled, pride flinty. "I'm not your charity case, Link. I'll find something." Tension simmered, their lovemaking turning edged, urgent, as if touch could cauterize the cracks. The betrayal blindsided on a Tuesday. Lincoln arrived at the courthouse to find Claire in tears, her desk ransacked, files askew. "They hacked us," she choked. "Emails, your strategy notes, witness lists, leaked to Crow." Panic surged. Lincoln's laptop yielded the breach. A phishing link from an anonymous tip, clicked in haste during a late-night scroll. But worse, the leak included photos, grainy shots of him and Riley under the bridge, timestamps damning. Crow waved them in sidebar, voice silk over venom. "Intimate evidence of bias, Mr. Hayes. Your relationship with the witness's cousin? Conflict of interest. Recuse, or we motion for mistrial." Lincoln's world tilted. Witness. Riley was tangential. A mechanic who'd fix school buses, subpoenaed for maintenance logs on the locker room cameras, or lack thereof. But the implication burned. Lincoln, the impartial prosecutor, sleeping with the enemy. Judge Ellis called recess, chambers thick with cigar smoke and judgment. "Son, this looks bad. Recusal might save the case long-term." "No," Lincoln argued, voice steel. "It's a smear. Those photos are private, illegally obtained." But doubt wormed in. Had Riley known? The timing reeked. Back in the bullpen, he confronted his phone, dialing Riley's number, voicemail. Texts unanswered. Claire squeezed his arm. "Go home. Sort it." The Victorian loomed empty, rain lashing windows like judgment. Riley arrived at dusk, soaked and sullen, toolbox abandoned in the hall. Saw the leak. "It's bullshit, Link, I swear." But his eyes skated away, guilt's tell. Lincoln paced, heart fracturing anew. "Did you talk? To Tommy, your family? Tip them off to hurt me." Riley recoiled, face ashen. "God, no. But my brother, Jake, he cornered me last week. Said if I didn't feed him dirt on the case, he'd out me to Dad's old crew." I stonewalled, but maybe he guessed about us. The half-truth landed like a slap. Lincoln saw it then. The fracture lines from youth. Riley's ingrained fear of ripples in the family pond. "You chose them again," Lincoln whispered, voice shattering. "After everything. The kisses, the promises. You let them weaponize us." Tears spilled, hot and furious. Riley reached, but Lincoln jerked back. "Get out, before you destroy me completely." Riley lingered, broken. "I love you, Link. This town's poison, but you're my antidote." Door slammed, echo hollow. Alone, Lincoln sank to the floor, sobs racking. Betrayal's blade twisting deep, carving out the boy who'd once believed in forever under harvest moons. The trial resumed a ghost of itself. Lincoln delivered closings on autopilot, words honed but hollow. Justice isn't vengeance, it's reckoning. For the boy terrorized, for every silenced voice. The jury deliberated 2 days, emerging with a verdict, guilty on all counts. Tommy fired, board liable for damages, policy reforms mandated. Cheers erupted from the back, activists hugging, but Lincoln stood numb. Gavel's final crack a funeral knell. Reporters mobbed. "Personal win, Mr. Hayes?" He forced a smile. "For everyone like me." Outside, Evelyn waited, umbrella shielding her frail form. "Your father. He's proud. We both are." She pressed a photo into his hand. Teen Lincoln at prom. Tux rumpled, smiled defiant before the eggs and exile. "Forgive us." Lincoln hugged her, tentative, the embrace a bridge half-built. "Maybe. Someday." Riley's truck idled at the curb, engine rumbling like unspoken pleas. He climbed out, face haggard, eyes red-rimmed. Heard the verdict. "You did it, Link. Change this shithole." Lincoln approached, rain mingling with tears. "I needed you. All of you, not half measures." Riley nodded, defeated. I know. Jake confessed. He tailed us, snapped the pics. I confronted him, beat the hell out of him for it. But I get it if it's too late. Silence stretched, taut as wire. Then Lincoln stepped closer, hand cupping Riley's jaw. Echo of their first reunion. It hurts. God, it does. But running? That's their game, not ours. They kissed then, salt and storm, a vow renewed in the downpour. Not perfect, scars would ache, but real, resilient. Harlan appeared then, lumbering from his old Ford, Evelyn on his arm. Son, he rumbled, voice thick. Dinner? Mospot roast. Lincoln glanced at Riley, who nodded, tentative alliance forming. The homestead table groaned under roast and fixings, awkward grace preceding the meal. Talk skirted edges. Weather, crops, Lincoln's cases. Then Harlan cleared his throat. I testify tomorrow, deposition for the appeals. Tell the truth about what I did to you. Evelyn squeezed his hand. Riley's foot nudged Lincoln's under the table, anchor. After, on the porch, stars wheeling overhead, Lincoln leaned into Riley. This, us, family, it's messy, but worth it. Riley's arm tightened. Every damn scar. Yet dawn brought the serpent. Crow, emboldened by loss, filed for appeal, subpoenaing Riley as key witness to prosecutorial misconduct. The photos surfaced in tabloids, scandal in the stands, gay lawyer's lover linked to defense. Elmwood erupted. Boycotts at Riley's new job hunt. Church sermons decrying moral decay. Lincoln's phone rang off. Threats, slurs, Claire's voice steady. Feds are involved. Illegal surveillance. Climax crested in chambers. Crow gloating over exhibits. Your Honor, bias is clear. But Lincoln rose, fire reignited. These images violate privacy laws, federal wiretap territory. And my relationship? Irrelevant to the facts. Judge Ellis, peering over specs, nodded. Motion denied. Appeal proceeds, but on merits, not mud. Outside, confrontation. Tommy Hargrove, jobless and seething, cornered Riley at the garage. You traitorous queer, ruining my life for your city boyfriend? Fists flew. Tommy's haymaker glancing Riley's jaw, Riley's counter-cracking ribs. Lincoln arrived mid-chaos, pulling them apart, siren wail heralding cops. Enough, he roared, voice brooking no dissent. Tommy spat blood, glaring. You'll burn for this, Hayes. Handcuffs clicked, but in the squad car, Tommy broke, sobbing confessions of the hack, Jake's involvement, Crow's payoffs. Just wanted to protect family, he whimpered. Lincoln watched, pity mingling with Justice's cold satisfaction. Family doesn't mean excusing hate. Winter clamped Elmwood in iron, snow blanketing fields like absolution's thin veil. The appeal hearing loomed, but momentum shifted. Feds raided Crow's office, unearthing a web of small-town corruption, bribes to silence victims, doctored logs. Tommy flipped, testifying against his uncle, the board chair crumbling under perjury charges. Harlan's deposition sealed it. Raw, unflinching account of Faith's failures, his voice steady. I judged my son. Now I see. Love don't come with conditions. Lincoln and Riley navigated the fallout. Therapy sessions in Des Moines a grudging ritual. Words unearthed like buried shrapnel. Trust rebuilds slow, the counselors said, and they nodded, hands clasped under the table. Romance deepened in quiet ways. Riley's pancakes on Sundays, shaped like hearts. Lincoln's playlist of queer anthems blasting from the Victorian speakers, windows open to thaw the town's frost. Sex evolved, too, from frantic release to languid worship. Riley's lips charting Lincoln's freckles like constellations, whispers of, I see you, healing fractures. Publicly, Lincoln became reluctant icon. Interviews with NPR, panels in Chicago, his story, from outcast to advocate, rippling through queer networks. But fame's glare scorched, hate mail piled, a brick through the window one frosty night, shattering glass and complacency. Riley patched it, cursing, but his resolve hardened. We're bulletproof now. Or close enough. Evelyn and Harlan inched closer. Sunday drives to the farm, her apple pie thawing old animosities, his gruff attaboy after Lincoln's wins a bomb. One evening, over cider by the fire pit, Harlan pulled Lincoln aside. I wrote you letters, son. After you left. Burned 'em all, coward that I was. But this one's real. He handed an envelope, creased and sincere. Apologies inked in block print, pride scrawled at the end. Lincoln read it later, alone, tears blurring ink. Forgiveness blooming, not full but fertile. The appeal collapsed in February, Crow disbarred, board dissolved. Reforms etched in law. Mandatory training, zero tolerance etched in policy. Verdict read, courtroom electric. Activists cheering. The victim, a shy kid named Alex, hugging Lincoln fierce. Thank you for showing me I can fight. Lincoln knelt, eye level. You already are. Braver than I was at your age. Aftermath swirled. Job offers from big firms. But Lincoln lingered in Elmwood, extending the rental, rooting tentative. Riley proposed over diner pie. Ring a simple band, scavenged from his toolbox, engraved always. Lincoln laughed through tears. Yes, but we're moving. Des Moines first, then maybe city lights. Wedding small, backyard vows under harvest moon redux. Evelyn tearful, Harlan beaming, Alex as ring bearer, rainbow ribbon fluttering. Yet humanism's thread wove deeper, not in triumph, but tenderness. Tommy, post-sentencing, sought Lincoln out, community service scrubbing graffiti from the rec center, eyes downcast. I was you once. Scared kid hiding. Sorry don't fix it, but it start. Lincoln nodded, no absolution but acknowledgement. A bridge extended, not crossed yet. Years later, Lincoln reflected from a Des Moines high-rise, skyline jagged against prairie sunsets, Riley's hand warm in his. Cases stacked his desk. National now, queer rights a crusade. But Elmwood lingered, scar turned story. He'd judged them all. Family, town, self, and found, in the reckoning, not vengeance but grace. Love, the deepest cut, had mended most. In quiet moments, Lincoln traced Riley's scar, whispering, we made it. Riley grinned, that old drawl wrapping warm. Damn right, counselor. And we're just getting started. The end. No. Beginnings, hard won, under American skies vast and forgiving.